Yo, what's up, guys? As you can see, I have face cam on. I don't really do face cam that often, but I'm gonna probably start doing it more and more now as I'm, now fully diving into the full-time content creator thing. And I'm live streaming every single day on both Twitch and on YouTube. So if you guys want to watch me, I face cam every single day on those live streams. So this is not something that's new to me, just something that's new for videos. But we're gonna be reviewing the major grand final, and I have a lot of things to talk about. Before we do that, a quick message from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Porsche Canada. Join me and watch some of the most talented Porsche race car drivers battle wheel to wheel in their quest for the top spot on the podium. This year, we've amped up the competition with the new Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Canada, alongside the returning Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Canada for its 5th thrilling season. Picture this, you're behind the wheel of the sleek Porsche 911 GT3 Cup Car or 718 GT4 Club Sport, battling it out against the fastest Canadian sim racers on some of the world's most iconic tracks simulated on iRacing. It's not just about the glory of victory, it's about the thrill of the race, the precision of every turn, and the rush of competing at the highest level of virtual Porsche motorsport in Canada. Racers have the chance to win amazing prizes, including the opportunity to extend their driving skills in real life at the Porsche Track Experience program. So gear up, grab the wheel, and join us on April 25th, Race 6 on the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps at 8 p.m. Eastern and experience speed, skill, and adrenaline. Be sure to visit twitch.tv/Porsche for all the action. Now, on to today's video. Hope you guys enjoy. Alright, so for today, we're going to be going through 2 games of this grand final, which was taking place in Copenhagen 2 weeks ago, something like that. And I'll put the bracket up on the screen right now so you guys can see the caliber of teams that were in the top 8. It's pretty stacked. It's pretty stacked. You had Zen on Vitality, Carmine Corp with Vatira, and those guys all didn't make the finals. It came down to these 2 teams making the finals, which is G2 and Gentlemates. G2 being Beast Mode Atomic Daniel, Gentlemates being Itachi, Seiko, and Juicy. So we're going to go through the games, and there's a few things that I want to talk about that I saw live, and I want to see if they're as apparent when I'm watching through these replays. So we're just going to take a look at that real quick. Let's try to stay on some players from the Gentlemates POV. I'm going to switch around, but I'll show you guys examples of things that I see. There were some things that I saw live that I thought were really interesting, and they're really simple, but it's what's making this team stand out and why they're beating everybody, in my opinion. So this is already part of it. And I don't want to stop too much, but I'm going to show you guys examples. What the main topic I'm going to be covering, and I just wanted to show an example here just to start off. And this seems like a basic example probably, but you'll see that they do this better than any other team, I'm telling you. So just to look here, you have a player all the way back covering this amount of field. You have a player on the right side covering the right part of the field, and the player on the left side with the ball covering the left part of the field. No matter what happens with this 50, if it goes right, Seiko will definitely have it. If it goes left, Itachi will definitely have it. Like, there's a bunch of perfect field coverage here. Like this triangle out of them just perfectly covers the field. And then you see the G2 players all on the right side covering just this side of the field, which is not good. And this is just 14 seconds into the game, and I could find an example of this. But you'll see this happen time and time again with this team, and you could tell it's something that they're actively talking about and thinking about. And I don't think a lot of teams are really talking about this that much. Like, just covering the field. They're just always trying to have one player left, one player right, and one player back that's covering the space that's not properly covered by their second man. But you'll see that over and over again. And yeah, I think watching it from like this outside perspective is actually a really good way to show this. But you see how they're just consistently covering that space, and that's always what they're aiming to do. I'm gonna actually try to stick on a player POV so you can see it better, because that's obviously how you'd see the game when you're taking part in it. But you can tell they're actively talking about this. That's something that I immediately had noticed. And I'll try to show more examples of it. So let's just see right here, for example. This one player is pushing that to left, one player is pushing far right, and then you have this player behind who's covering this backspace here. And you can see he's actually intentionally covering the empty space in the middle of his 2 teammates. And they're doing this every single time. And then again, you have the G2 players who are not doing this, and they're more so relying on their mechanical prowess, and they're more so relying on their ability to just hit the ball well and just take good solo plays. They're always on the same side of the field. They're always bunched up. They're not really covering multiple outcomes. I mean, you can argue Beast Mode kind of is here, but for the most part, they're not covering multiple outcomes the same way that Gentlemates are. And we're 30 seconds into the game. Obviously, I'm stopping quite a bit, but this is something that I'm gonna cover quite a bit here. And you'll see how easy the game becomes for them when they're doing this. When they have pressure, I want to keep on this perspective so you can see. Itachi's rotating opposite side here. They have opposite side covered. And they always have, look how spread out they are. Back corner, middle, left side. Keep an eye on this. And that's exactly why they get this goal. It's beautiful, I'm telling you. This is peak teamwork in Rocket League right here. You have a player covering the front left. What does that mean? There's probably someone back here covering this space. There is Seiko. He's covering that space if it goes behind him. And then there's probably a player to the right side, which is going to be Juicy. And here he is coming in. And he gets that play off of the 50. And you just see it's just a matter of just thinking about where to cover. So keep this in mind. I'm not going to pause as much anymore, but keep this in mind going through the remainder of this video. He's covering the right side. He sees both his teammates on the left. And the goal looks like, from G2's perspective, it probably looks crazy. Let's watch Daniel's perspective. It probably looks like, how is Juicy ready for this? Happens so quick. You have a 50 that happens, another 50, and then he's just there. It feels like the whole team's just there. But really, a lot of the work's done beforehand. It happens so quick, so quick. But a lot of the work is just done before the ball's even touched. They have everybody covering the space that's necessary. I'm not going to stop that much more. I know like a lot of you guys don't like me stopping that much, but I think it's an extremely valuable thing to cover. And this is something that, again, he's farthest back on the left, Seiko's on the right. Just perfect coverage of the field every single time. And then nothing G2 does looks dangerous. There is nothing that they do that actually looks like it's causing pressure on the team. Outside of this bump right here, but even then, it's all covered. But I think this is something that in any rank you can actually end up stealing. You could steal it and try to think this way constantly. If you're queued with your teammates in comms, for example, like if you're comming with your teammates, this will be super easy thing to do. Just say I'm covering left side, and then when they have the ball up the right, you just cover left, slightly behind them. You're covering as much space as possible, right? Really well played from G2 here. Again, just kind of solo play brilliance. Not the same. It's not the same kind of coverage that Gentlemates are working with. Their goals come from more so just like a good solo play into a shot. It's well played from Atomic to be there. Wouldn't be a goal without him being there, getting that shot on net. Atomic, extremely impressive team player. He always uses his team to the best of his ability. Really difficult thing to do in threes when the game's moving so fast. And look at their goal comes from Seiko. Just a misread here. This is really poor. There's no way around that. It's really poor. That's a straight up free goal there. Obviously, best case, he just hits the ball. But this is the major grand final. There's nerves. There's obviously a big crowd watching. It's a lot easier said than done. But the main thing I want to focus on is the play style and the way that they're playing around each other and understanding how to position in a way that's giving everybody on their team an advantage every single second of the game. Again, one covering left, one covering right. Still the same thing. One covering left, one right. One's probably going to be coming behind him. Yep. Same situation every single time. And now Juicy can cover that space. It's very interesting. Like, it really does feel like, you can watch every one of their games. It does feel like that's something that they're actively talking about. And when you're watching other teams, they like subconsciously can do it sometimes, but it's not the same. It's not to the same level. And they're not following in their 50s the same way. Like, everything is done so perfectly. Anyway, if you're a lower level, like I was talking about, like if you're in Diamond or in Champ, for example, you can use this the same way. If you see your teammate pushing up the left side of the field, should you also be pushing up left side with him? No. How many times this game have we seen this G2 team all be on the same side of the field? And then at any freeze frame, when they're all on the same side of the field, I can take that same freeze frame, and there's another guy covering the opposite side of the field who's going to be coming down this side the entire time, and anything that spills out this way, he'll be there for. See, he's there to help out, and look what happens. Look how instantly that becomes bad for G2. And then again, you have one on the right, one on the left, and one covering behind the left guy, because if this challenge happens from Itachi and he loses it, who's there for it? Juicy. It's just perfect positioning every time. This is exactly what you want to see out of your team in threes. If you're a coach, you're loving this, but this is a rare occurrence. And then you see the G2 players are very often on top of each other, and they're getting out of these situations based on pure mechanics and just being able to do good things with the ball, which isn't a bad thing. That means that they're able to tweak this and think a little differently. They'd be able to be much more dominant. But I think that this is extremely apparent when you're watching this team, this Gentlemates roster, how good they are just covering space, man. Nice from Seiko. Goes for the shot. Can be wide. It's a good save. Good touch again. Juicy again covering that right space. It just forces them to have to make a touch away. Good coverage here again. Covering right, and then there's a teammate mid. If this ball goes mid, there's going to be somebody there. Notice how they're so actively aware of where each other are the whole time. Like as soon as Seiko's like watching Itachi here hard. As soon as Itachi covers that space, that middle of the field space, he just backs up and covers the opposite space. Like, they're just really vigilant at what their teammates are doing the whole time. Like, they're never in a state of autopilot. It doesn't look like they're ever surprised by where their teammates are or what they're about to do with the ball. And it's absolutely beautiful to watch. I'm telling you, there's not many teams that play like this. And if you looked at the top 8 bracket, not many people would have had this team winning. But what I saw them doing in the Swiss stage, this is, dude, I'm telling you, man, it's beautiful. He's covering. Let's look from a far perspective here. Just really keep an eye on what I'm saying, because I think this is something that people are not noticing enough. And if every team tries to take from what they're doing, I'm telling you, everybody will improve. It is absolute perfect Rocket League. Let's start from Juicy here. Pops it up. Seiko's rotating back opposite side, which is what you should be aiming to do. Always, if your teammates are both on the left, always rotate out opposite side, so you're covering the opposite side of the field. So if 50 happens, you have a teammate that's right and you have a teammate that's left. That's what you should always be trying to do. And that is a general rule people follow, but people aren't doing it to the level in which they're doing this. I'm telling you, it's crazy. Goes for that. There's a follow-up right behind, covering the right. So what's Seiko going to do here? Probably peel out to the left, right? He's peeling out to the left to try to cover this empty space that's not being covered. Itachi is going to leave this because Seiko's obviously covering that left space. Goes for the challenge. And now Juicy's covering this right. He's moving in. He's going to still continue to cover the right space. And then Itachi's forcing this out to the left for it. Or Seiko's forcing it out to the left for Itachi, which is perfect. And this leads to a situation where, again, you have a player covering right space, player covering left space, and a player rotating out who's going to cover behind the left and right coverage. And it's gonna be perfect. Pass out to the mid here. Juicy's ready for it. Takes a shot. And again, this player that's coming behind, covering the left and right. He's behind the left and right coverage, is going to be able to easily clean up anything that happens here. So if Atomic had made this save to the left side, guess what? Seiko's coming in with full boost with the ball, and they still have pressure for quite a bit more time here. And then you have Atomic low, Daniel low, and Beast Mode. Guess what? He's also pretty low landing here. So yeah, that's just a perfect example of just good field coverage every single time here. And you got to keep in mind, one of the goals G2 got this game was Seiko just straight up whiffing the ball, which is very rare. You're not going to get that very often. So if you're Gentlemates here, you're playing better as a team by miles, and you know that you're confidently playing better as a team here. So that mistake, that whiff, means nothing. I really wanted to make a video on this, guys, because it's something that I noticed so quickly when I was watching them in the Swiss stage, that their positioning looked insane. They look like the perfect prototype for a LAN team, like exactly what you'd want out of a LAN team. Juicy was playing incredibly mechanically as well. Like, he wasn't making any mistakes mechanically. Last hand back for a bit here. He's gonna just insta challenge, makes their play impossible. Goes for the double, which is almost on target. Just hitting it around him. Yep. Good coverage on the left side from Seiko. Let's take a look at what's happening. Yeah, so this is kind of what I was expecting here. Itachi is covering out the right, Seiko's covering out on the left, and then you have a player that's on the ball in the middle who's going to be rotating out in a second once Seiko goes for this. Rotating out and then covering behind, and then you have the right coverage, left coverage, behind coverage every single time. It's the same thing. They're falling into this setup every single time, and they're actively thinking about falling into the setup. You can tell. Beautiful save from Itachi there. Control. Gonna go for a 50, go for some bumps maybe. It's really nice to watch though. There's not many teams that are thinking this actively about their positioning. I could like tell right away they're putting a big emphasis on the coverage of the field. Nice. Alright, into overtime. See if I change anything here. The nerves get to them a little bit. This is a major grand final. A major is obviously not world level, but it's a very important LAN international. Any international events obviously of extreme importance. Not many of them in a year, so that genuinely picks who the best team in the world is for that period of time, right? It's the best tell of who's the best at a time. Let's go to Seiko POV. Teammate should be behind him anyway here, but he still goes. It's fine. But you see that, like, again, it's best to show you from this perspective so you can really get an idea. He's on the wall pushing this. You have a player covering the right side behind him, which is perfect. who's the furthest back. This is the most optimal spot to be for this situation. And then you have players covering left here. And most situations, actually, when a 50 happens, this ball's either going to stay on the wall, go out and roll up, or it's going to go out to the left here, right out to the middle where Itachi is. Those are the two options of what would probably happen here. What is most likely to happen? Doesn't mean it does happen. Let's see what happens here, actually. So it ends up going... So Seiko just doesn't even reach the 50, which is fine, because what does that mean? Juicy just gets to go for the ball anyway. Like, those are the most likely outcomes, and either way, they're still covered. No matter what happens, they're still covered. So Seiko was able to just leave the 50, and it wasn't bad. It didn't throw the team off at all. Like, they were both just ready for it because of their positioning in advance. What a play. Good bumps from his team as well. Plays it to himself. Take a look at what's happening here. So everyone just stays on track. Full boost all the way on the left side. Full boost all the way on the right side. What can G2 do here? Even if they find a way to get a touch that's down the middle, even if it's not going to be fast enough to get by both of these full boost players, and it'll be super obvious that it's going to happen. The ball's coming out here anyway. Juicy has control. Let's see what happens. Goes for the flip. To blocking them. Keep in mind G2's boost. Look at G2's boost. Look at what the positioning of Gentlemates, the vice grip they got him in. Look at the boost on him. Beast mode 0, Daniel 0, Atomics on like maybe what, 30 boost? What is he on? 31 boost. Like, it's insane how good this is. It truly is insane how good this is. What they're doing. They actually haven't done anything crazy like mechanically. They haven't done anything that was like absurdly out of the ordinary mechanically at all. Like it's super just basic, being in the right place, right time. Again, look at this crazy 50 out to the right side, but look at the field coverage. Look at this. Look at the coverage. One far left, one far right, one in the middle of the field. The pitch is out super far right. He gets there, fakes it, is able to go for that left mid boost. It's insane. It's insane. It's honestly so perfect. And again, you see the solo play coming out, and then one player covering the middle, a player's behind covering the space. If it goes poorly, it's just done. He just straight up goes solo and beats them. That's it. They had them in such a tight grip the whole game, bro. I'm telling you. One of the goals G2 got was off of just a straight up whiff. Would have been just a 2-1 win in regular time if that whiff had not happened, obviously. But yeah, that's pretty good example. We'll watch the final game, the game that they won it off of, and let's see if they change anything. That'll be the last game that we'll watch. This is the game that they won the tournament off of. And I'm gonna watch it from Itachi perspective. Already right coverage. He knows he has the right coverage already. Instantly just knows. Then there's left coverage on the left, and there's one behind here. And look at Juicy, man. Perfect touch to himself. Gets another touch. Flips. That would be such a beautiful goal to win the grand final. That is like the perfect situation. All because he's covering the right side. Itachi knows that. He has the space to pass him the ball instead of throwing it away, right? Giving his team options. Perfect. Dude. Look at this too, like from Itachi. He's giving his teammate an option, middle. He's covering the space to the left. Gives him that space to get a play out of, and then he just cuts it. Has a chance to get a goal. Slightly wide. Would have been a goal if he got it on target, but again, much easier said than done. Covering far right. You see the active thought to cover far right. Juicy's covering the in-between. And he almost gets another goal off of just covering the right space. Man, it's so apparent every time. Look, there's a guy, the third man, Juicy's just covering in between the two. One covering far left, one covering far right. Whatever happens here, they have it covered. He still was able to turn in from this point, and it should have been a goal as well. He just missed again, but you just see the positioning is really doing it all for him. Again, one right, one left. It's a goal. This is a better example of a game. This is a way better example of a game. You see what I'm talking about? Look at their positioning. If this 50's out left, he has this so easily. And then look at the G2 players. Does it feel like they're as in control of the situation? At all. There's no... They're all covering the same thing. Two of them are covering the exact same thing. They land here, and then at this point, they're both covering the same thing. Daniel goes for the squishy save. He's a little late to it, but it's like a different level of communication and ability to just position correctly. I'm telling you, nobody's doing this like them right now. Nobody is doing it like them right now. I refuse to admit that anybody's even close to this level in terms of team play in any region, honestly, in terms of just positioning correctly. It's not about how they're passing. It's not about what they're doing with the ball. I'm just saying in terms of just positioning correctly and just keeping their team in a vice grip. Like, if other teams take this game is going to get really difficult really fast. If other teams take what they're doing. And it looks very simple, and you guys might not even notice like what I'm saying to the same level that I notice it, but this is unusual. Like, this is very unusual. How they're there for everything. Like, this shot seems easy, it seems uncontested, but it's because they're positioned there for every single outcome. Like, they have everything covered. It's actually insane what they did. And nobody had them winning this event, by the way. People had BDS, people had Vitality, people had Carmine. Some people had G2, not many had G2, but some people had G2. And they came in and they dominated, honestly. I don't think they lost the series, the whole event. And this is what they did, the whole event. Like, something clicked between their online games and the major matches where they started doing this like to a different level. Because I didn't see this when I watched them online in the European regionals. I think this is perfect Rocket League, though. If mechanically they were a little bit better, then it's absolute perfect Rocket League. I think this amount of like just thought, like active thought that's going into the way they're covering the field is exactly what you want. And now we're at the point where they're 3 minutes away, 2 goals up from walking away with the title here. And, you know, nerves might kick in a little bit. So we'll see if they can hold on to the same kind of play style. We'll see if they turtle up a bit on defense. But you see the same thing again already. Right side, left side, one going back, going to cover the middle of the two. And it's a really simple concept when you think about it. Extremely simple concept. But actively doing it in game is a lot easier said than done. For sure. That was the first double commit we've seen in a while. Could be the nerves. But it's honestly fine there. I wonder why does he choose to peel off here? I feel like this was called. Juicy gets this corner. Does he tell him he's gonna cover to left? Why does he choose to peel off here? It feels like the moment Juicy gets that corner, he peels off and goes back and lets Juicy cover to left. That's what makes you think it's intentional as well. Like, there's a lot of moments like this. And Juicy's on the left side still covering it. And this is the offense from G2, right? Like, look how easy this is for them to deal with. Even if Daniel gets the most peak flip reset into a flick, into potentially a second flip reset, they have a guy in the back wall, a guy in the ground, and they have another guy that should be to the right of both those teammates right now. Yeah, and he's covering this space. So it's, I don't know, man. It feels so dull. Like, their offense feels so dull and like mechanics oriented in comparison to the team play and the vice grip that they have their opponent in every single time this Gentlemates roster. It's actually insane what they're doing. I would like to know if it's something that they're like actively talking about, or if it's something I'm just noticing that they're doing by accident. Maybe they're doing it by, I don't think so though, because it looks like this is an intentional rotate out to the far left. Like, look, it's such an intentional, you see it, he aims for the far left, he's rotating out for the mid boost. He had full boost, but he's purposely aiming out to cover the opposite space that his teammate wasn't in. They have one left, one right, one rotating back to be behind both of them. See, it looks intentional. It looks extremely intentional. And that's the reason why they have this team stuck. G2 looks easy to play. They're making them look easy to play. But look at the G2 team though. How many times were we able to take a snapshot with all three of them on the same side of the field or in the same small portion of the field? They're all within the distance of this pad to this pad. They're all within that distance. That should never really be happening. Like, it's kind of insane that you see that happening this much on defense. And also, when they're on offense, it feels like they're always stacked up on the same side of the field. Like, always on the right side. Which means that if the ball spills out left, they're all using boost to chase the ball to the left side. Which is making them, like, take a lot longer to get to the play. and making them have a much harder time to actually create something, because when they get to the ball, they're going to be on like 20-30 boost making a play with it, right? And then you see the Gentlemates calmly rotate out, one opposite, other side covered completely, this side covered completely, and they're always rotating opposite side of their teammates, like covering the right space, and it just makes the game look so easy. Even looking for the demo on the way back. This is good from G2. Like, they do it one time here, they almost get a goal out of it. Like, they did it one time here. Like, this is the first time I've seen like a good situation out of them where they're doing this, and it's because Beast Mode just instantly turns. It's an opposite. Beast Mode back wall. Daniel back down. Atomic jumps. Just a little bit too late though. But they had to absolutely peak to get the play. But at the same time, that was the best play they've had, and it was because it came from them covering the correct parts of the field. Intentionally. It wasn't just because they needed boosts across the field. They're intentionally doing it even with full boost, which is what's really impressing me. For Daniel's touch. And look at the situations where G2 is scoring. Like, look at the situation G2 scoring. This is what I mean. Like, this is like, the best way to explain it is like, I feel like this isn't a focused thought out of G2 of like, oh, we need to be opposite, we need to be covering the opposite space. This is like a situation where like, oh, I'm mid, just pass it mid, like, kind of thing. I don't think this is the same kind of situation that Gentlemates is setting up time after time, where it feels like it's like last minute they're going all in for offense, right? He plays a mid pass and Beast Mode's just there. But it comes from the same idea. That's what I'm saying. If you're positioning every time for one guy's on the ball on the right side of the field, have someone toward the middle to left side, and then have a third player behind that. If you always set up for that, you'll always get these kind of plays over and over again. And the 2 times you saw that out of G2, look how dangerous it looked in this last 30 seconds. Just as an example. So that's something that you can all take into your games, man. No matter what rank you are. Position opposite of your teammates. Try to cover space that they're not already covering. And you're going to see how much easier the game becomes. Covering the left, Juicy's on the far right, and the ball inevitably comes to the guy covering the left side every single time. It feels like the ball always gets played around the guy on the right and ends up going to the left, and vice versa. Awkward read. Does he get it? He does. You notice how he's playing a pro team, by the way. This is like a not just a pro team, but like a top pro team. You notice how their positioning is giving them balls that are just the easiest balls to deal with in the world. Like, his positioning is just leading him to a point where he gets a bouncing ball toward him or a rolling ball toward him so many times because he's just positioned in the opposite space where his teammates are. So they inevitably beat their teammate over into the space that they wanted them to get beat into. They want to get beat toward their teammate opposite side of the field. Like, they don't care. They don't care. They lose their 50s intentionally. They're trying to get beat intentionally toward their teammates every single time. Like, it's all thought out. This is something that Europe does way better than NA, and they've always done this way better than NA. And that's why when I was a pro, and when I aimed to improve as a team player and on my team in general, I always took from the best European players. I always try to take what they're doing and tweak it to be a little bit better every single time, and that's what ended up making me win so many things internationally. That's why I have so much success compared to every other NA player, because I always took from these kind of teams. If I was still competing, if I was going to keep competing going forward, I would copy exactly what they're doing, and I would drill it into my team's head to do exactly what they're doing, because I'm telling you, it is so blatantly obvious how good it is and how easy the game looks for them. Their team looks in control this entire time. Even though these games are somewhat close, their team looks in control the whole game. Like, they don't look like they're under pressure. They don't look like there's any major threats outside of like 1 or 2 situations where they make a mechanical mistake or they miss or they get a poor touch. But that has nothing to do with their general game plan of positioning for each other and positioning opposite of each other to create these opportunities. So anyway, I hope you guys learned something. I know I rambled on for quite a bit there, but hope you guys learned something. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys enjoy these kind of videos, I'll definitely do one for all the major grand finals and maybe an occasional European grand final or NA grand final. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know down below in the comments if you like the face cam. I love you guys. Thank you so much for all the support on the channel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.